what are the kind of things that in your life, work, home, anything at all, what are the kind of things in your life, just tiny little problems, little niggles really, nothing serious, but they're just little daily frustrations, that if you could resolve those would make the biggest difference to you? Like if you didn't shout at your kids in the morning anymore. Would that make a difference to you? Yeah.
Yes.
So what are the little things, the tiny little frustrations, but just, they happen most days. And if you could remove those from your life, that would make the biggest difference.
Getting up on time.
Excellent. What else?
Haste.
Haste. Lovely. What else?
Not getting a client call first thing in the morning.
Not getting a client call first thing in the morning. Excellent. Any others?
I try not to react to trivial things.
Thank you. Anything from you?
Prioritizing.
Prioritising. Lovely. Excellent. Any others?
Procrastination.
Lovely. Any others?
These kind of small things which bother us, getting the call through in one go, we can avoid that.
Say that again, please.
Half of the time we struggle to make a call go in one go. Trivial things, as you said, small things which negate you. You try to communicate, you try to make a call, it doesn't go through.
As in trying to get your message across that.
The phone call doesn't go through.
Oh, the phone call.
The signal issue.
The signal issue.
Okay.
That's trivial.
That's trivial, but that affects a lot.
But yeah, the feeling.
But I'm saying that you're stuck in the jam, you can't do anything, but it affects you. The call is not going through, the signal is bad, but it affects you.
Smartphone battery.
The battery is drained, it affects you.
The acceptance of that particular situation.
Excellent. Getting up on time, haste, not getting a client call first thing in the morning, try not to react to trivial things, prioritising procrastination, being stuck in a jam or having a bad signal, something like out of your control and it affects you. Do you think it's interesting that many of these are about time? Do you think that's a coincidence? What's happened? Why so many of these are about time?
Everything is about that.
Everything's about time, maybe.
I think as human beings, we're very rushed.
Yes.
And
But
that's
all
why
the things that we could talk about, relationships, goals, job promotions, why time? Why has time become the common thing?
We have too many expectations and a little less time.
Probably that's the only resource we have.
How about this as an idea? Do you know? NLP practitioners, do you know why? Any theories?
Because we are here only for 2 hours and okay, assumption.
It's possible.
But we're here for 2 hours, we
Simply
want to get the
because-
best out of it in those 2 hours, so time.
Yes. And because the first one was.
Time.
The first one was about time. And what that did was that affected the way that everybody thought. In fact, because we influence each other in ways that we're not even aware of. So you've been to a couple of my taster sessions in the UK.
Yeah.
Both times we've had a group of people, and both times all the things they list out, there's something that everyone says, oh yeah, that applies to me definitely.
Yeah.
Is that a coincidence? Because the first thing that somebody says creates the constraints, it creates the limits on them, what everyone else thinks of. As soon as we make one perception, it creates everything else that follows. And why would you mention something about time? Because when you came in, what you were thinking was, time was in your mind. And we influence each other. And one person, you know what it's like in an office, one person says something, or one person comes in and has a bad day or something, it affects everyone. Because we are affected by other people. And a lot of that is going to be outside of our control, but we're still influenced by it. So clearly the theme for today's mini workshop is what?
Time.
Time. Something beyond time. Time is just an idea. Time doesn't exist. The world is always exactly the way that it is now. There is no past, there is no future, there is now. But what we can do, that some other animals can do, but not all animals can do, is we can remember and we can imagine. So we can remember things we've done in the past, trivial things we've reacted to. And we can imagine what we'd like to be doing instead of being stuck in a traffic jam. Because what we have as human beings is we have our senses through which we gather information about the outside world. That tells us what's going on right now. What we also have is we have the ability to store records of how the world was in the past, but they're always incomplete records. So, for example, without looking around you, so keep looking at me, how many doors are there in this room? 3? 2?
4.
4? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, because that's one big thing that opens up 4. Okay, if you're looking at me, how many air conditioners are there?
3.
3? 4?
4. The visual perception is only here.
Yeah. And what we do is we take our incomplete record and we assume that it's perfect. And so if something isn't in our record, it doesn't exist. The other thing we'll do is we'll take our incomplete records and we'll fill in the gaps to fit how we feel about it right now. So if you think back to a discussion you've had with somebody that you're not happy with how it turned out. Maybe you had a conversation, maybe you weren't happy with what somebody didn't agree with you or something like that. There was some compromise that you weren't happy with. You think back to a conversation that you're not happy with. What you remember of that conversation is it's changed a little bit. It's distorted a little bit. So that when you tell your friends and colleagues about it, when you say, oh, you'll never believe what the boss just said to me, you'll miss bits out. You'll change bits and you'll exaggerate the voice tone a bit so that it fits the story that you tell. The story being what? What's the meaning of the story that you might be telling in that instance? He was really mean to me, it wasn't my fault, I didn't do anything wrong. And so what you do is you change the facts line to fit the story as you're currently telling it. And then sometime later you might get some bit of new information. And you might realise that actually a conversation wasn't what you thought it was, or it didn't turn out how you thought it was. Or you might find, at the time you thought somebody was disagreeing with you, and then later on you realise they did what you wanted to anyway, and your story changes a little bit. You say, yeah, well, yeah, I thought, they weren't nice to me, but, in the end, it was all right. And you just change your story a little bit, using the same little bits of information, the same pieces, the same parts of the puzzle, and you put them together in a different way, it tells a different story. So what we're talking about here is how do we control events that are outside of our control? How do we control the client calling? You didn't ring him up and say, "Can you give me a call back in 5 minutes?" Did you do that? No. So it's not under your control. So you're in a traffic jam, it's not being able to get a signal to make a call. It's not under your control. Reacting to trivial things. Getting up on time. Actually, just this phrase, getting up on time, is interesting. Because what happens if we take out the space between those words? What does it mean now? What does it mean now?
Getting on time.
Getting on top of.
Getting on top of.
Feeling like you're on top of things.
Overcoming.
Yeah, overcoming, yeah. Overcoming something, getting on top of. Feeling like you're on top of things. Feeling like you are in control. So when you're not getting up on time, does it feel like you're not in control, you're rushing, you're having to catch up? And with haste? Is that the same with haste? You feel like you're catching up, you're chasing other people? So the theme for today's session is, how do we deal with things that aren't under our control? Because that's life. How do people deal with things that are not under their control? What are the things that people do?
Blame others.
Blame others, yes.
Avoid it altogether.
Avoid, good.
Typically two actions, the fight or flight. Fight or flight.
There's a third actually. The first thing we do is freeze. And if freeze doesn't work, then we run, flight. If that doesn't work, then we fight it. So the first thing we do is just stop. Don't know what to do. Play dead. Hope it goes away. Do nothing and hope the problem fixes itself. What else do people do? They blame others. They they avoid it altogether. They justify it. They get stuck and don't know what to do next.
They just blame the circumstances.
Blame the circumstances, yeah.
Sometimes they blame themselves, become
Yes.
guilty.
Yes. So what happens is, these are all things that we do after the event to give us the illusion that we were in control. Which doesn't help because we're already late. We already couldn't make the call. We were already late for the meeting. We already had the client call when we weren't at our best. We weren't prepared. So the things that we do to deal with events that are not under our control afterwards, to justify, to blame others, to blame ourselves, blame circumstances. Well, what could anybody have done? What could anyone have done? And weather and traffic and these people walking with Shiva and the water, the roads are blocked. And what could anyone do? I had to wait for them. And they were late. So what could anyone do? What could any of us do? So, what would be more productive ways to deal with events that are not under our control?
Probably change your response to those events.
Yeah?
And depending upon how you respond to an event, can be a build-up to a stress or it can be no stress.
Absolutely right, yes. How we respond to these events can create stress, and that stress can build up through the day, can build up through the course of our lives. And then we get to the point where we just have to get away from it. And people go on holiday and they say, I want to get away from it all. Like they want to get away from the stress of everyday life. But they can't. They can't get away from the stress. Why not?
They come back and it's still there.
They go
They
back to
carry
it.
it with them.
They carry it with them.
Actually, it's inside you. You can't.
Yes.
You cannot escape it.
Yes, because that
Cannot
stress
be
isn't at
escaped.
work.
Cannot be escaped.
Isn't it? It isn't at your desk. It's not there. It's in you. Exactly. You can't get away from it.
Maybe because we accept that nothing would be done without stress.
We could accept. Yes.
So maybe because we believe that nothing is possible without stress. It is very much natural.
Right. So.
And moreover, what you said, we remember and we imagine.
Yes.
If we stop doing that, there is no stress.
Exactly, and isn't that what we achieve through things like mindfulness and meditation and disciplines that get us to just accept how things are? And just be in the moment and just accept however it is. And for that time when you experience that peace and that calm, that's wonderful. And as soon as you look at your watch and you think, oh, I need to go and pick the kids up, or I've got to get that email sent, or it's all straight back in. Because as human beings, we live in this constant state of stress between how the world is and how we would like the world to be. And you can be out in some beautiful place with nature in the mountains, and it's peaceful and quiet, and then the sound of a bird singing, and you don't have a care in the world. And everything's wonderful. And you feel totally at peace and calm. For a few minutes, and then you think, oh, I need some water. I'm a bit bored now. I need the toilet, or something like that. We're straight back into that situation. So this is part of who we are. This is how we're able to grow and learn and develop and evolve in our lifetimes. This is how we're able to improve ourselves and to get promotions and jobs and to learn and to study and to create better lives for our children and to build the world that we live in. All of this exists because we're able to imagine. And at the same time, sometimes that ability creates stress, and that stress is harmful. If that stress builds up over a long time, what kind of effects does it have on someone?
Effects of stress.
Yeah, long term, what are the effects?
Everything can go for us.
Health, family, relations, the stress becomes the focus, doesn't it? People forget other stuff. Stress actually shortens your life. Stress prevents your cells in your body from being able to replicate, to reproduce perfectly. And they produce damaged copies which might not work, or might work in a way that's harmful to us. Stress causes all sorts of illnesses. Heart problems, circulation problems, mental problems, all kinds of things are fundamentally caused by stress. And actually we see this in animals too. Animals do the same thing when when animals are kept in small cages or something like this, and they don't have other animals to interact with, they exhibit the same symptoms of stress. They pull their hair out, they get ill, they get depressed. Depression can come from stress. And depression is it's a really odd thing to experience, because the person who's depressed doesn't know that they are. They just think there's something wrong with everybody else. Because it's like a curtain that's fallen across their world, and they don't know that it's there. They only know that the world seems darker than it was before. And all these people have now become more difficult, more irritating, more troublesome, putting more pressure on them, because they don't know. Their behaviours change. Their outlook on life has changed. So one of the things that we do with NLP when we're helping people using, whether it's coaching or counselling, or even as a manager at work, or as a parent, or as a friend, any way that we're using NLP to help someone, what we're doing is we're helping them to restore their view of the world, what we call their map of the world. Because if your map of the world is accurate, no trouble, no stress. If you know an obstacle is there, then what do? You plan around it. And therefore it's not an obstacle. What we do is we imagine obstacles, we imagine things that are going to stop us from achieving our goals. And we act as if those obstacles are real. And then we take action to avoid those obstacles. So somebody says they want a better job. Let's say somebody wants a promotion at work. Do any of you currently want a promotion at work? Might be of interest to any of you? You can imagine that. You can imagine what it would be like to want a promotion. And a promotion at work might be a good thing. You might get what from that?
Hike, salary hike.
You might get, okay, more money. What else? More recognition. And the status that goes with it.
Yeah.
But what else might you get from a promotion?
Sense of achievement.
Sense of achievements. You might get
Control over others.
control over others. You might get to do some work that you find more challenging, more interesting. That's good. Promotions aren't all good, are they? What are some of the things that we don't want that come?
Too much
More
responsibility, too much accountability, too much stress.
Stress.
Responsibility.
Accountability.
Accountability. We have to work longer hours. Those people we've got control over, and they're demanding stuff from us, putting pressure on us. And so what happens is part of you would want the promotion and look like you're taking steps to get it. But then also part of you doesn't want it. Wants to protect you from the stress, from the working late, from all the pressure, and actually take steps to make you avoid it. I don't know if you've ever known somebody like a friend or a colleague who keeps on saying they want to get a new job or they get a new promotion, but they never seem to get round to applying. Do you know anybody like that? It's like they got the application, oh, I missed the deadline, and I was busy and I couldn't send the application off. And you think, what's wrong with you? All you've got, you said you want the job. And what we do is we respond to what we think they said, which is, I want this new job. But what we saw in their behaviour was all the other stuff as well. And that conflict, that stress that creates within them was enough, just enough. They didn't quite get round to sending the application on time. They never quite got round to talking to their boss about it. They went to the interview and they forgot. They answered some question really badly, or they turned up to the interview late, or they did something to sabotage themselves. It doesn't make any sense. We think, why would you do that? Why, I was late, the traffic, but you knew the traffic was, why didn't you leave an hour earlier? Well, I was busy, I thought it'd be okay. Well, never mind, and there'll be another opportunity in the future. And so we hear people justifying why they didn't get what they wanted. So here's a question for you. In your life in general, would you rather have what you want or have really good reasons and excuses as to why you haven't got what you want?
And what you want.
You'd rather have what you want. So why have you got this? Why do we have those reasons? Did anybody want this? Do any of you want better excuses for why you haven't got what you want? Or want what you want?
Probably our vision of getting there was not that clear, which we have driven us to actions from.
Okay. So, first step in getting what you want is what?
Planning for it.
Applying for it?
Vision, seeing it.
Seeing it?
Seeing it happen.
Visualizing.
Visualizing it?
Clarity.
Clarity of?
Clarity of what you really want.
Of what you want, yes. Because most of the time that people don't get what they want is because they don't ask for it. If the sign said, please leave all food, drinks, shoes outside the room. It doesn't. It says food, tea, water, shoes, not allowed. And straight away we know that's not true, because I know for a fact I have shoes. I saw them this morning. So I know for a fact that's not true. And as soon as I know it's not true, it introduces the possibility of doubt, and before you know it, people are choosing to bring tea into the room. Because they knew that was a lie in the first place. So it's not a big stretch to make it, to break the rules. my shoes in a minute. I'm just going to run around my shoes. I'm not going to put them on, because I know what it means. So, what we need first of all, if you to get what you want, is you've got to be clear about what it is you want. And you think you are, but most of the time you're not. Most of the time, instead of you thinking about what you want, you tend to think about what?
What you don't want.
What you don't want,
Or you want you don't have.
what you don't have,
You relate it and then you.
yes,
And why you can't have it.
and why you can't have it, and you'll think about what you think other people want you to have. First thing we've got to do is get to what do you actually want. And in NLP, we happen to have a nice little handy tool that helps people to clear up what it is they actually want. And it's really easy. It's just a checklist of 4 things. Because we know that in order for somebody to put the minimum effort into achieving something, which is all we need. It's like, you must have seen nature programs with cheetah chasing the gazelles. Is the gazelle going like this? And the cheetah goes, does the cheetah do that? Just fast enough. Only just fast enough to catch the slowest gazelle. And they don't jump on them. They trip them up. They've got a little claw there. And they run, and they get just close enough, just fast enough, they can trip up the slowest gazelle. It falls over, and they catch it. They don't put any more effort in than they need to. Why would they? Unless, of course, they're trying to prove like we are. So I'm the best gazelle. I am alpha gazelle. Alpha cheetah. I'm going to run faster than this guy. They're not trying to prove anything. They're just trying to have lunch. They're not trying to prove how fantastic they are. They're not trying to prove that, oh, my father said I'd never amount to anything as a cheetah. I'm going to show him. I'm going to run faster than he ever ran. Cheetah don't do that. But that's what we do. We compare ourselves to other people. We think we've got to prove something, and that creates stress. So, our simple checklist is, first of all, we've got to want something as opposed to wanting to stop or avoid or lose something. So if someone says, I want to stop getting home late from work, if that's what they're saying to themselves, and as you said, what we say to ourselves is part of NLP, if that's what they're saying to themselves, what's going to result from that? If they keep saying to themselves, oh, I don't want to be home late from work tonight,
They don't need it.
their focus is on being late. And that's what they'll achieve. It isn't what they want, but it's what they'll get. Because it's what they set out to get. The world around you is no accident. Your world, here right now, is not an accident. You didn't wander in here by accident, did you? You didn't just think, oh, I'm going to go out for a drive today and see where there's a place. I'm going to go and see what's happening. What's going on in this room? None of this was an accident. You went to great lengths to be here because you chose to. Nothing in your life is an accident. Everything that's in your life is there because you put it there. You created it. So, the person who says, I don't want to be late every night, but is late every night, that's what they're focusing on. That's what they want. It might not be good for them, but it's what they want. The first thing we do is we turn that negative goal into a positive. For example, I don't want to be late home. Turn that into a positive. What do we get?
I'm going to be early.
I'll be early or on time. Yeah, early or on time. But it's a positive, is what I do want. Simple. So the first thing we do is we get them to restate it as positive. Second thing. Got to be. I don't know. What if somebody says, I don't know, I want to get a promotion, I want a new job, and they pin all of their hopes onto this. They say, oh, everything will be fine when I get this promotion, and I get the pay rise, it'll be fine, I'll be able to pay off my debts, move house, nothing to worry about then, everything will be great after that promotion. The problem with that is, do we promote ourselves? Do we give ourselves new jobs? Do we go to a complete stranger and say, well, you're going to be my client? Congratulations. Do we do that? They have to make a choice as well. So the problem is, if we focus on something that isn't under our control, like time, or other people, or other people, or other people, or outside events, or outside events, what can we do? If you're putting energy into achieving a goal, what will happen if that goal isn't something that you can do? You have to rely on external people or forces. What's it like when a friend says to you, I'm waiting for the right moment to talk to my boss about me getting a pay rise? I'm waiting for the right moment. What happens in reality?
You keep waiting.
They keep waiting.
You keep waiting. You freeze and
They're stuck. Why does that moment never come?
There is this fear that we have in us, which we don't want to address or conquer as well,
Yes?
and that's one of the reasons. And we kind of wait for the nature to respond rather than we take an action.
Yeah. Wait for somebody else to point me to the
Yeah.
remote control rather than me risk saying, can you help me find the remote control? Because if we risk asking for what we want, what might we get? What might we hear?
I know.
No. If we risk being clear about what we want, the person might say no. So we avoid the risk by not asking. And instead, creating a scenario where the other person might guess what we want and give it to us. Which is an awful lot of work for them. We might get something, but it might not be exactly what we wanted. So you might go into work saying, oh, I'm really worried about this report I've got to do, and oh, I'm so stressed and I don't have any time, and all the time you're hoping that somebody's going to say, would you like some help with it? But they never do, for two reasons.
They don't really care.
They don't care.
And even ask for it. So.
They don't care, they don't want to help you anyway. But we saw, there's a really interesting video. Do any of you watch any TED Talks?
Yes.
Yeah. There's a really interesting one about fairness and collaboration by Franz de Waals, W-A-L-S. And I will make a note to send you the link, as well as the other stuff I'm going to send you.
Fair.
Collaboration.
And what they did was they've done it with monkeys, they've done it with elephants, with dogs, even with some birds. And what they've done is they've got these animals to perform a task and then rewarded them for the task. And when they start to reward them unequally, they behave in strange ways. So there's one, and you will laugh so much when you see the video. There's these monkeys, and it's the first time they've ever done this task. So they're in two halves of a cage, and the researcher will give them a stone, and they have to give her the stone back, and then they get rewarded. The first monkey gets rewarded with a piece of cucumber, and the second monkey gets rewarded with a grape. So the first time, give her the stone, the monkey gives the stone back, gets a piece of cucumber, eats the cucumber. This monkey gives the stone back, gets given a grape. As soon as she gets a grape, the other monkey's at the cage looking, see what's she getting? So now the researcher gives her a pebble, so she gives it back really quickly, like, gets cucumber, looks at it, puts her arm out through the cage and throws it at the researcher, and then she's banging her hand and she's shaking at the thing. She's really mad. One of the things that they found when they did this with bonobo apes, which are like chimpanzees, is one monkey would stop performing the task until the other one got a grape. So we do have a sense, within a social group, we do have a sense of fairness because we have empathy and therefore we know that how somebody else is being treated, it feels bad to us. But when somebody's in an office and says, oh, I'm really worried, I'm really, oh, you, oh. We just respond at face value to people, what people say. How do you respond if a friend says to you, I'm really worried, I'm really stressed? How do you respond to that?
With empathy.
With empathy. You say, oh no, what happened? What's happening? Let me get you some warm milk. Let me help you to relax. They're not really saying they want to relax. What they're really doing is asking for help. But they don't ask for help because they think that the response will be what? No. No. Or what will be even worse than no. Because as soon as I ask for help, I'm communicating what? That I am weak. And therefore they act as if the response from the other person will be
Sympathy.
the opposite. To attack them because they're weak. And so they defend themselves by not asking for what they want. And instead describing what is happening. I am looking for the remote control. Yeah, I can see that. I am worried. I am stressed. I have to get this done by 5 o'clock. I have to get home on time. Yeah? And?
And you start there.
They're giving a commentary until some kind person
Yeah.
reads between the lines and thinks, oh, are you saying I can't bring those things in here? Oh, are you asking for the remote control? I know where that is. Oh, are you asking for help with the reports or the projects? I can help you with that. So we rely on the charity of others, and it means that we don't have to ask for what we want. But if we don't ask for what we want, you'll get something, but it won't be exactly what you want, what you have in mind. So the second thing we need to check is that the goal is under our control. So it's not under my control to find the remote control because I don't know where it is. What's the first step that I can take that is under my control?
Find the remote myself.
I can look for it. And I've looked everywhere and I can't find it. So what's the next thing I can do that is under my control?
Ask.
I can ask. And trust that the person I'm asking will either answer me or not. That's up to them. I can't make them answer. I can't make them tell me. All I can do is ask. They'll either tell me all they want. They either know or they don't know. They'll either help me or they won't. But if I don't ask, where am I?
And that's the remote.
Still in the same place. You said clarity. And what we mean by clarity of the goal is that we know exactly what it is we're looking for. So, has anyone bought anything recently that's out of the ordinary? Something you don't just buy every day like groceries. Do you have to tell us what you bought?
So I bought this music system which was fairly expensive.
Okay. When you went to buy it, did you know the exact one you were going to get? Had you already done some research on the internet?
Some research, but not a very high. It was a high normal decision making process. But I feel my research was not up to the mark.
Okay. So, and how can it be? Because no amount of research on the internet will tell you how it.
What the sound quality is.
Yeah, you've got to go listen to it. So you didn't go into a shop and say, I want a Panasonic whatever, how much, I'll give you, a haggle. And it wasn't that precise. It was, you knew kind of what you were looking for. And when you went into the shop, or how many shops did you go into? Just one or many?
Only one.
Only one. How many systems did you look at?
Four.
About 4. Of those 4, in the sequence that you looked at them, which one did you buy?
That was the third one.
Third one. Why that one in particular?
Because the sound quality was good
The sound quality.
and it had slightly better features compared to the other one.
Okay, so sound quality was the most important thing, and some other features as well. If the features were not quite as good, but the sound quality was much better, would you have still chosen that one?
No. I would have probably evaluated a couple of more options.
Okay, some other options. Good. So what we've got is a really clear criteria. You know exactly what you wanted in terms of general system, but exactly how you would know in terms of sound quality, features, what you're looking for. So you had a test. You had a test that when he heard what he wanted, he knew it straight away. And therefore he didn't spend weeks and weeks and weeks going into lots of shops and going, I don't really know, I can't really make my mind up. Now, what about clothing? Has anyone bought any new outfit recently? Like a special event or new outfit? Yeah, you got something? And how many shops did you go to?
Usually I crossed over 3 to 4 shops, but I didn't find what I was looking for. So at the end, I bought it online.
You bought it online?
Yeah.
You didn't find what you were looking for? How did you know what you were looking for?
Because I knew what I was looking for.
Had you already looked online before going to the shops?
No.
Had you seen somebody else wearing something that you thought, that's the kind of thing I want?
No.
So where did this picture in your mind come from?
Maybe like the sense. I think if I feel something comfortable with. So when I couldn't get that sense. So,
You couldn't get that sense.
yeah.
But you did get it from the one you saw online.
No.
No?
No.
So you're still not happy with what you bought?
No.
Excellent. Here we have a lovely example of a really specific test that lets you know, I've got what I wanted, buy it, it's at home now. You like it? You happy? Excellent. And another example of where there isn't a specific test. How can you stop looking for something if you don't know whether you found it or not? Whereas if you went to a shop to buy an iPhone 7 in this colour, what would happen? You go to a shop, so this is what I want. Let's say here it is, you hang on the price, that's it, happened. So when you know exactly what you want, you put the minimum effort to getting it. When you don't know exactly what you want, it takes longer, you're not quite happy with the end result. And therefore what we need is for the goal to be expressed in a way that is real in terms of our senses. We need to be able to express what the goal looks like, sounds like and feels like. Because we don't have a sense of time, we don't have a sense of a report at work being satisfactory. We don't have a primary sense of that. We don't go, yeah, that's finished. We gather information through our senses and we add it into our experiences and judgments and what we're looking for when we make comparisons. And then we get a feeling that we look at the presentation, we look at the dress, we look at the music system and we think, yes, that's it. That's finished. We don't have that test. We never know that we finished looking, and so what do?
We keep looking.
We keep on looking. And your friend comes round your house and says, well, have you bought a new music system yet? So, yeah, I still haven't found what I wanted. And, well, what's the matter? We're going to, look, let's go to the mall now. We're going to go to the shop. And, no, they didn't have what I wanted. Well, what do you want? It's difficult to... And you must know people who it takes them years to get a new car or years to get a new job. Or I used to have a friend who he always wanted to have the best of whatever he bought. He wasn't really extravagant, but if he bought something new, he wanted to have the best. But how do you define that? And he wanted to buy a mountain bike, and he came around my house with a stack of mountain bike magazines. I'm not joking, that's it. And he'd read all of these reviews to try and figure out which one's the best, so he could buy the best one. And he was more confused after reading the reviews than before. Because how can you define best? Because whether it's mountain bikes, mobile phones, music systems, clothing, food, anything that's marketed to sell to us is specifically designed to prevent us from making a decision. It's specifically designed to be confusing. Because if you can't make a decision by yourself, what do you have to do? Ask for help, ask an expert. You have to go into the shop and say, look, I've read the reviews for these mobile phones. I can't tell which is, I don't even know which is which. What would you recommend for me? So marketing is designed not to make you attracted to a particular product, or not just to do that, but also to prevent you from making a decision. So that you go into the shop associated with the brand. And so you'll see as shops like the Sony Centre, and the Bang & Olufsen shop, and the Bose shop, and it's only that brand. So if you decided that what you want is a Sony or an LG or whatever, and it's just a question of which make, which model exactly you want, you will go there and you will ask them, because they must be the experts, because they work in the Sony Centre, or the Converse shop, or Mothercare, or whatever it is. They must be the experts. So what I have is a picture in mind, and a sound that goes with that picture. There might be words, and we've got to have most importantly a feeling, like you said, a sense. You're talking about a feeling. Then when you put it on and you look in the mirror, you feel good. And that's what's missing. And the final thing, like with the job, every decision that we make is a compromise. Your decision to come here today, what are you not doing as a result of being here? Sleeping? To recover from that early morning black hole?
I had a red eye flight, so I could have probably done that one with some sleep.
Yeah. What else? What are you not doing as a result of being here?
I'm not cooking dinner.
You're not cooking the dinner?
I'm not back home with my kids.
Not having your kids? Every decision we make is a compromise. What we're always doing is weighing up, which is giving me more of what I want. Do I want to be at home with my kids more than I want to be here? And what might influence your decision is, you could be with your kids every day. This is only happening today. Yeah? So different factors will influence our decision. But it's always a compromise. And what we've got to test with this, as an NLP technique, this is called well-formed outcomes. And as a technique, what we're going to test as the final of these four criteria is the person comfortable with the compromise they're making? Are they actually committed to doing something about this? And we call it ecology. And ecology means we're treating the person as an entire system, not just, can you think of something that you want, anything at all?
Want?
Yeah, anything that you want.
Yeah, Ford Mustang.
Ford Mustang. So you want a Ford Mustang. Great. But is that entirely good for him? What compromises does he have to make in order to get a Ford Mustang? So what I'm going to show you is I'm going to show you the whole technique, and then I'm going to ask you to pair up. Ask you to pair up and practice this with each other, and you'll see how easy it is, and how it gives you that clarity, how it gives you that specific reference, how it really focuses you on what you want to achieve. Now, the important thing with well-formed outcomes is this isn't about setting goals for the future. It's not about saying, I'm going to start doing this next week and then next year and so on. The interesting thing in NLP is we're affecting people's behaviour now. When we're making changes that we talked about earlier, we're making them now, it's in real time. So right now, what are you doing to achieve your particular goal, to get whatever it is that you want? Because even though it might not seem like it, there's something that you can be doing right now that will help you to take a step towards your goal. And any goal in life isn't about taking a huge giant leap towards it. It's about taking lots of little steps every day. Changes that we want to make in life, research tells us that the only thing that really works is making changes every day. Doing something every day that moves us towards our goals. No matter how small, just doing something every day that takes us in that direction. What this does because it sets that direction for us, helps us to get that direction very clearly in mind. So since you said about Ford Mustang, can I share everybody with you? Would that be okay? Could I just show everybody with you, with your Ford Mustang? Would that be okay with you? And I'll just show you how the questions work. Very simple. So, the first question, is it positive? It's what he wants, yes? Ford Mustang's what he wants. Second thing, is it under your control?
In a year's time.
In a year's time. The technical word for that is no.
Yeah. You asked me, is it in their control now? I would have said no.
Yeah. So
But I assume that you're asking, I assume. Is it in their control? So I assumed and I said, okay. So,
well, you did answer. You went.
because I was assuming how much is the control.
Sure. So what is something that you could do that is under your control now?
Come to an enthusiasm.
Okay. And that's helping you to get towards
Yes.
getting a Ford Mustang. Great. Okay. So when you've got a Ford Mustang, what do you see?
What do I see?
Yeah. Imagine that you've got your Ford Mustang. What do you see?
I see driving around the Yamuna Expressway.
You see driving down the expressway. So what, do you like watching you drive by, or you in the car, or you hands on the wheel?
Hands on the wheel.
You're in the, okay, great. What do you hear?
What do I hear? What do you
And what do you feel?
Sorry.
Through it. And that's up here. It's like a tingling feeling up here. Yeah. Right. If I can give you that now, would you take it? What do you think?
I think it's a momentary satisfaction that will be derived from that step. And if you ask him the same question after he's driven it a few times, that entire need will disappear.
Possibly. Certainly the point
That's
that's
with all materialistic things.
But
materialistic.
Absolutely.
Is that interesting?
so
And-
maybe you could, if I could ask him another question. I'll turn another question. You have a need to buy a Ford Mustang, right?
Ah, he didn't say that.
He said he wants to own it. I probably didn't say that
Exactly.
bit.
He wants to own it.
You want to own
He
it.
doesn't want to buy it. That's why it's a year from now, yes? This is the thing. When we listen, not to the content, but the structure of what he's telling us, because the structure of what he's telling us is the same as the structure as his behavior, what is he really telling us? But right now, at this moment, what?
He wants to own a Ford Mustang.
He wants to own one.
He doesn't want to buy one.
What he's telling us is right at this moment, we can't afford a
Can't
Ford
afford to
Mustang.
buy.
So, how much is a Ford Mustang? How much is a Ford Mustang?
About 65 lakhs.
65 lakhs. Okay. So if I gave you 65 lakhs now, would you take it?
But,
Like,
yes, but as I said, yes. But I would need to know what I have to give it back to in return.
Yeah, so it's
So
not.
it's slightly difficult. If you're giving me, it gets what would I need to give back to you?
Exactly, it's the same question. It's the same question as a year from now when you've got 65 lakhs. What did you have to give up to get that? That's the compromise. Whether he's got the money now forces him, well, but hang on, what do I have to give up? Well, and if it's in a year's time, it's the same question. What do I have to give up over the next year to have that? Because as far as your mind is concerned, your unconscious mind, there is no past, there is no future, there's always now. Do you have a Ford Mustang now? Do you have 65 lakhs now?
The answer is yes, I can't spend it on Ford Mustang.
Yes.
There's more money than that, but I can't spend it on Ford Mustang.
You can't spend it on a Ford Mustang. That is the reason why he doesn't have a Ford Mustang. Because whatever it is that's making him say, I can't spend it on that.
That's good.
That's it.
Can't spend it on.
What would happen if you did?
No idea, but probably I would jeopardize few other investment plans, few other business expansion plans, something which I,
Boring things that don't give you a thrill.
no, maybe, but the idea was that I have to jeopardize a lot of other things which are planned as well.
Okay.
Maybe mostly to do with the business
So,
expansion or something, I have to
Compromise
trade
is,
off.
so the compromise you're
Yes.
making is between the thrill
Well,
and that feeling that you get when you think about jeopardising your future plans. That feeling of jeopardising that lower, heavier feeling.
the question is that, I think this question.
So the compromise for you is between the thrill and the feeling that you get from jeopardising.
It's not really the thrill, it's about understanding. He just said that these things, give you pleasure for a moment. You keep changing cars, you keep changing phones, you keep changing watches, you keep changing shoes. But what you're creating now in your business environment and the people who you are working with has a larger impact. So these things can wait. This has to go on with a bigger impact. So this is again, today I want to translate mobile or whatever. But those are the milestones which will keep me moving. It may not be, so it's kind of a complex thing which goes in my mind.
Excellent.
But
Now we know why he wants a Mustang. It is a reward. And you don't feel that you've earned it yet. And all of this comes out of just 4 simple criteria. If I could give you now that feeling that you know you've earned, if I could give you that knowledge, that sense that you get when you know you've worked for something, and you know you've earned it, and you know, most important, you know you deserve it, would you take it? It isn't about a Mustang. It's about the sense of reward. And reward means we've done something. It's about valuing what we've done.
The challenge that
So
he has.
his first yes, he said yes all 3 times.
Uh-huh.
But
And in a different
in
way.
And
different
all
ways,
different
and
He said something else
First
with the
yes, the first yes was yes and the body positive change which
resistance
came away from you.
and
Okay, and the second
And
yes was with
finish
a but,
with the but, yeah.
Yes, but.
and the
And
third is
if,
finally
like, if, but if I,
the conditions involved.
conditions involved, compromise. And when he kept saying Phil, it was like he needed some challenge.
Some new
some
thing.
new thing also, like,
How does this help him to actually get a Ford Mustang? Clarity. Clarity of what actually is his aiming for. Yeah. So that every step you take every day, you know what it is you've done that was valuable and meaningful and actually made a difference. And that difference makes you valuable and meaningful. Knowing that every day. And then you can have a Ford Mustang, not because it's a reward for a year's worth of that, but because you just want one. And why not?
But my question comes here is wanting and knowing what to want, the gap which I foresee, knowing what to want, how to achieve, it's all known. I would say I don't know how to achieve it. But one thing, I also want us to be done every day something. The plan is, the plan part is slightly, is not, but something which goes wrong with the plan.
Yeah.
Something which goes wrong with the consistency. And if I can say that is the only challenge, which could bring it from 1 year to 6 months or which could take it to 18 months.
And we're back to
I
that.
would say only consistency.
What if something happens that stops me from achieving my plan today? If you think your plan is to get a Mustang, events could happen, you could have to make some repair at home, you've got to spend some money on it and so on. But when you know that your actual outcome is to feel that sense that you're valuable, you're important, what you've done mattered, and you deserve it, then it doesn't matter what you do, it doesn't matter what happens every day.
My point was slightly different. What he's saying is perfectly understood, and I'm with you on that. The only thing is, I think what you're saying, and I'm saying, I need to rephrase it. Maybe let me just compose it. That whatever is the situation, our reactions to the situation, sometimes derail us from the steps which we take every day.
Yes.
And that consistency has to be brought in again. And that thing fizzles out at some point of time, and that's where you are not able to realize your full potential.
Fantastic.
And that is what I am looking at.
Yes, exactly. External events can only derail you if you are on a rail track. And that rail track can only lead to a Ford Mustang. Nothing that happens can derail you if you are free to go anywhere you want, because you know that everywhere you go leads you towards that feeling. It doesn't matter what happens, you will get that feeling that really is what you want. And you can still have a Ford Mustang, but you're no longer attached to it. You're no longer stuck with it.
I didn't get it. No, I didn't get it. If somebody is
When you want a Ford Mustang, the only way to get that is with a Ford Mustang. And you're stuck on the track that takes you to that goal. And if something derails that,
that's in the track you need to follow.
yeah, then you have no choice. But as soon as you know that it isn't really the Ford Mustang you want, it's what that gives you, the feeling it gives you, what it says about you, that you deserve it, that you've rewarded yourself, that sense of reward, and you know that that sense of reward you can get from anything. You can get that whether you buy a Mustang or not. In a year from now, you'll look at a Mustang and you'll think, actually, no, I don't want that anymore. And you still got that feeling of reward. Nothing can derail you because you're not attached to that specific material outcome. And so everything that happens is a reward. You've been here as a sign that you rewarded yourself. You've been stuck in a traffic jam as a sign of reward.
So what you're saying is that
What I'm saying is everything you do gives you what you want. When you're focused on that being the end result. Think of it this way. Friend of yours, say somebody at work, they say, oh, I'm having a party at my house on Saturday, I'd love you to come. And you say, great, how do I get to your house? They say, right, you come out of your house, you turn left, then you do a U-turn, but then at the second junction, not the first junction that looks like a junction, but the second one, it's a bit of it's like an odd junction, but you turn right there. You go down that road about 2 kilometres, you come to a big white house, and then you turn left there. Are you still with me?
No.
And what happens if you come out of your house, turn right, and the road's closed? It's flooded. What do you do? So what does your friend do? What do they actually give you?
They give you the address.
They give you the address. And how do you get there when you don't know the way? You work it out. You use a tool, you use GPS, you use a map. You work it out for yourself. When you know what the real destination is, that it's that sense of reward or that sense of whatever it is that you're looking for out of life, that sense of being in control of these events, any direction, anywhere you go takes you there. Coming out of the house and turning left will still get you there. Because then you know what you have to do. Because every step you take puts you in a different place to make your next decision about your next step. If someone's only giving you the directions, right, to get to that sense of reward, the first thing you need to do is buy a Ford Mustang. What else can you do? What do you do if you can't buy a Ford Mustang? Do you give up? Do you come up with a whole list of reasons as to why you haven't got what you want? So it doesn't sound like you're a failure. If you know what the real end point is, then nothing can stop you from getting there. Because you will always improvise. Find a way. You'll always be on track. You'll always be going in the right direction. It's when you get that confused with the way to get what you want, the steps to get there. I've got to go via this point. I've got to go via this car. I've got to go via this job title. I've got to go via this employer. I've got to go via this relationship. I've got to go via this place to live. When we're stuck with those physical points, we have no choice. And if we have no choice, we're not in control. And if we're not in control, then external events will always be running the show and dictating the time you arrive, and dictating where you go, and dictating what happens first. When you're in control, it's because you know what the day's activities mean for you. And you choose when to do what. You choose what to do. You choose to take a call or not. You choose to say to your clients, don't call me before this. And you choose that when the phone rings, you say, what did I tell you? And then you hang up. You choose that. You choose what is important to you. You choose what's important to you. You choose what's important to you. And you choose what's important to you. And you realise that actually getting a bad signal is a sign of what? Getting a bad signal on your phone is a sign that you
Even need to change the
have
battery.
a
Phone.
It's a sign that you have a phone. And isn't that a wonderful
And
thing?
you have somebody to call also.
And you have somebody to call. And somebody's waiting for you. Somebody who wants to talk to you. And when you think about those things, you think, bad signal. When I finally get through, they'll want to talk to me a little bit more. It's a better way to get on.
I'll be happy with the bad signal.
Yeah.
The client will never call.
Exactly. Because it is never actually a matter of changing behaviour. It's only ever a matter of changing focus. Change our focus, our behaviour changes automatically. So Para, if you three could work with some of the newcomers today, that would be super because you've already done this. Para and have a go. So ask your partner for something that they want, check that it is positive, it's under their control, it's real, they can see, hear and feel it. And then the last question is, if I can give that to you right now, would you take it? And if they say yes, that's a yes. And if they say or well, or yes but, then that's a no. And if you hear a no, that's absolutely fine, that's good, because that's more information. Then just go back and check it really is under their control, and they really are clear about what it is they really want. And then try it again. The whole thing, very quick, very simple. And everything that we do, every goal that we have, every intention that we have, and everything that other people ask us to do, we can check against this. 13 water shoes not allowed, is it positive? No. It's under their control. No. Is it real, as in see, hear, feel? No, it's a bit vague, isn't it, really? I'll give you that now, would you take it? No. What they really mean is, please don't make a mess in the room. That's what they really mean. But they don't trust us to know to do that. So instead they limit what we do in the room, hoping that that will limit what happens in the room. So, you clear on what you're doing? Those of you that are working with 3 practitioners, they can lead you through that, and they know exactly what they're doing. That's going to be fine. And then Jas and I will have with the other parents to make sure you're happy with it. Okay? Pair up and have a go. Let's see what happens. So this is a very simple example of an NLP technique, and yet as simple as it is, just a checklist of just 4 points. How much information comes out of that? Because as I said earlier, all of our language is such a shorthand. It's such a shortened, diminished version of what's going on in here and what's going on out there, and yet it's all contained within the structure of somebody's language, which reflects the structure of their behaviour, and we can get so much from just something as simple as that. And this is how pretty much all the NLP techniques work. There are techniques for changing the way that you feel about relationships and therefore making decisions or behaving differently in relationships in the future. There are techniques for resolving conflicts. There are techniques for changing long-term patterns of behaviour, like somebody who, I don't know, was searching something new, and then they never quite get to finish something, and then they start the next new thing, and they don't really finish it, and then they start the next thing. That kind of pattern of behaviour. There's techniques for dealing with phobias, of course, because a lot of the NLP techniques, their origins were from therapy and working with people who had phobias and those sorts of issues that were causing a real problem in their lives, what we call problems. But actually, from the NLP point of view, we don't really have problems. What we have is behaviours. And those behaviours are either appropriate to the context or they're not. So behaving in a certain way is never a problem. It's behaving in a certain way in a certain place with certain people that is either able to get you what you want or you're fighting against what you want. So it's always about context. It's never about behaviour. And therefore, whatever people do isn't good or bad. It isn't right or wrong. It just is what it is. And the only question we really want to know is it getting them the results that they want? Is your behaviour getting the results that you want? Is your behaviour getting you the business or the motivational speaking or the Ford Mustang or the sense of reward or whatever it is that you've worked on today? Is your behaviour getting you closer to what you want? And if it isn't, what are the changes that you can make to get there? And this is really what it's all about learning NLP. But just in terms of today, what I've got here for you is something, a little handy pocket problem solver called the Unsticker. And the Unsticker is a list of random questions. And if you're stuck and you don't know what to do, and you feel like you just can't seem to think your way around the problem, then what you do is you ask random questions off the Unsticker. And you'll find that after just a handful of questions, the problem's changed. So questions like, what would the movie trailer for this problem be like? Is this problem wider at the start or at the end? Imagine it's a year from now, how has the problem changed? And the questions don't seem to make any sense, and that's the point. It's intentional. The questions at first don't make any sense. Because what we do in our minds is, in order to make sense of the questions, we change the problem. I'll leave some more over here if you want to take one for a friend or a colleague, that's absolutely fine. But really, this is giving you a taste of what NLP is all about. We find out the client's description of what's happening. We think about the structure of what they're saying, and we think about what the most appropriate course of action is going to be for the conversation. What is this really about? What angle are we going to take? And we do some analysis on the language, and we find out what the structure is. How are they creating this thing that they describe as a problem? Or how are they stopping themselves from getting to achieve this thing that they call a goal? Then we do something that looks a bit like the technique that you've done here today. It generally involves talking, or it might involve getting somebody to go and sit in another chair and see things from a different point of view. It might involve getting people to go and imagine that they're in the future, maybe even walk, and imagine that they're in a different place in the future, and then see how things look differently from there. And these sound so easy and so simple because they really are easy and simple. And yet, the way that they work can be so powerful. Because one of the most important things that happens during practitioner training is that you actually have an experience of change for yourselves. And those of you that have been through practitioner training this week, is that something that you've experienced?
Yes.
And what has that meant for you?
it's already starting to show little small steps that I have started taking. It makes more than what others are seeing. I'm not bothered about that. It's making me feel much better now.
The language that they're using. To me, that has started to change quite a bit as compared to how it was a week back.
Because the odd thing is, we can't control the outside world. We can only control what we can touch that doesn't have free will. But we can't control other people. And yet, we know that we're connected with other people. We know that what we do, choices that we make, our behaviour, we know that it affects other people. And we know that that affects them and it influences their behaviour. And then their behaviour changes. And then that influences us. And within a very, very short space of time, you can bring about a lot of change in the behaviour of one person or a number of people. And before you know it, for example, just at work, you can get a reputation very quickly for being somebody who is really good to talk to at work about little niggly problems and things that people are worried about. And they can't explain how it happens, but after 2 minutes talking to you at the coffee machine, they just feel lighter. They just feel better and they can't explain it. You get a reputation for somebody that really helps people to think for themselves, helps people to find their own solutions. And of course, in some lines of work, as a coach, as a counsellor, as a trainer, you make a living from being able to do that. In other work, maybe as a manager or as a parent, it just makes life easier. And it just improves the quality of the relationships that you have with the people around you. And ultimately, what else do we want out of life? So, I'm happy to answer any individual questions that you've got or anything that you'd like to ask or talk about. But in terms of the group session that we've had today, I'd like to really thank you very, very much for defeating the weather and the traffic and so on, making it here and choosing to spend your Saturday afternoon with us. It's been lovely to meet you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So if any of you don't want to rush off, I'm happy to answer any individual questions that you've got.
It's like, what is the training you do?
Training. So the training is, there are 3 levels to NLP training. First is called practitioner. And practitioner is where you learn all of the techniques that you can use to bring about change in other people. As a process of learning the techniques, you're also going to experience that for yourself as well. So that's practitioner level. That's 8 days. The next level is master practitioner. And master practitioner, we learn how those techniques are created. So in master practitioner, which is also 8 days, you learn how to really precisely decode the processes and the patterns of a person's thoughts, their perceptions, their language, their behaviour, and create techniques unique for that person in that moment that doesn't even look like a technique, it just sounds like a normal conversation. The other thing we do at master practitioner level is modelling talents. So something that somebody you know who's fabulous at doing a particular thing, dealing with conflict, or mediating, or negotiating, or getting a point across, communicating, or even something to do with cooking or something artistic maybe. And we want to find out, how do they do that so that I can learn it and I can teach it to other people. That's part of what we do at Master Practitioner as well. It's called modelling. And a trainer, you become a licensed trainer able to train and certify practitioners and master practitioners from the International Society of NLP, which was the original NLP licensing body that was set up in about 1980, early 1980s, something like that. So those are the 3 levels. Most people, majority of people, just do practitioner because they just want to learn some simple tools that they can use to improve the quality of their lives and their friends and families and colleagues and clients and so on. Most people do that. Yeah, does that answer your question?
When and where do you conduct?
Oh, very okay. So in Delhi, last practitioner was finished today. Next practitioner is end of February. We haven't set exact dates yet, but end of February. Next master practitioner will be, early February. Yeah, early February. Next master practitioner will be late April. The next training is November. So there's one this November, but you have to do practitioner and master practitioner before you can be licensed as a trainer. You can still do trainer training, and you would get a general trainer training, but you couldn't license other people. And a lot of the stuff around the techniques wouldn't make much sense.
How many days this master practitioner?
Also, and trainer, I think trainer might be 7 days. 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. No, 7 days as well. Yeah, all 8 days. Any other?
What is the gap that we should have between practitioner program and master practitioner?
It's not so much an advanced course, because a practitioner will learning techniques, a master practitioner will move beyond the techniques. So as long as you spend a couple of months really practicing the language analysis that we do in practitioner, then you'll be fine for master practitioner. So in Spain in September, I run a practitioner and master practitioner back to back. It is possible to go from one to another. Some people choose to have more time to practice, but it isn't necessary. It isn't really necessary. But certainly from February to April is enough time if you're practicing it every day. And actually, is there an opportunity to practice every day?
Yeah. And how long is that practice for? Since you're saying that we need to practice it, so is it?
Well, you can practice it without having to set time aside. So, for example, if we're analysing language, what you can do is you can choose one of the components of language that we analyse, and you can just think, right, today I'm going to listen out for days. And it's just getting into the habit of hearing it. Because I don't know if you three can comment on this, but I think what you might find is that you start to hear conversations in a different way.
Yes, yes.
Yeah?
Yeah, the first thing is negation. Always comes the first thing, if you don't or can't, first thing is negating.
No, and then we use the other terminology, the simple deletions we see.
Yeah,
It's this or that.
Comparison
deletion.
deletion.
Universal. We are trying to, whenever now we're hearing a sentence, we're trying to put a name to each word, if you hear me, because we want to give it a name so that we knows what it is, so that we can then go ahead and
You can practice it reading the newspaper, you can practice it watching interviews on the news, on TV, listening to the radio. So it's not something you have to set special time aside for. And because when we get to master practitioner, we go through all the language again from the start to really thoroughly understand and be able to decode the structure within language. So just going through practitioner, you'll start to hear conversations in a different way. And if you make a conscious effort every day just to do that, just to listen to that, things will jump out at you like this sign, and they'll make you smile. And that's just what happens every day. So then when master practitioner comes, you're then in a position to start going through that much more thoroughly. We spend a lot more time going through that master practitioner than we do a practitioner. Any other questions?
So the practitioner is in Feb. And
Yes, next one. Early February. So I need to set exact dates for that. But I can let you all know when I set dates. So I'm going to send you an ebook, which was actually the first book I wrote. It's like an introduction to NLP. It was written originally for trainers and teachers, but actually it's all the principles are in there, in more sort of everyday language applied to training. But I think you might find some stuff in there that's valuable. I'm going to send you a link to that interesting TED Talk video, plus some other links and so on. And I'm going to send you another ebook. Not sure which one yet, but I'll send you something else as an ebook. So again, give you something to read and get a sense of what it's all about. Plus links to the website and so on, and you can see dates and you can read up one subject if you want to. Anything else I can answer?
What's the fee structure?
excellent. This was, the practitioner was, this one was 795. Sorry, how many?
Sorry?
79950.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was 79950. Not sure about the next one because it'll be in a different venue. But depending on the venue cost, it'll be around that.
Would you be resigning at the same way?
We won't be in this venue next time, but it'll be something similar. Probably a hotel.
Yeah, it will be a,
It's
it's
a
saying it's a residential. Yeah, it will be a
Yeah.
residential.
It can be, yeah. Where somewhere where you'll have the option. If you live locally, then you don't have to stay out.
So do you, during the course, you also have to do coursework during the course, which keeps you occupied after the session?
No. Some people will take the techniques home and practice them with their families because they want to, but there's no requirement. What will happen is you get the course manual, which is this book at the beginning, and you can see there's a lot more in that than just the 8 days worth of exercises. So if you want to read this in the evenings during the course, you're very welcome to. If you want to read ahead and have a go at things, that's absolutely fine. If you want to get a copy in advance, then that's absolutely fine. You can do that. Or continue to read it after the course is finished. So there's a lot of supporting information, none of which is necessary for the course, but you're welcome to do as much other work as you want to. There's none that's required. Any other questions? If you think of anything else, we'll be here for a while yet, just packing up. So if there's anything you think of, you're welcome just to hang around and ask, or of course email or contact us afterwards, either Jazz or I, answer any questions if you have.
Are you taking the same course before February in any other part of the country?
Not in practitioner.
Practitioner.
Actually, it's possible that I'll be doing a practitioner in Bangalore, which was originally planned for December. I'm probably going to move it back, but I don't know if that will run. I don't know. February is definite. I'm
But is
not
there
sure.
Is there a minimum number of participants you expect before you kind of plan the program, or?
Before it's definite, you mean, or?
So, for example, a lot of programs that are run, you have kind of a pre-registration.
Oh, I see.
So if you do not have a certain X number that are likely to be there, then sometimes the program doesn't happen. So is there a prerequisite there?
Did we do that for this one? No, we just commit to it and do it.
That's okay.
Because otherwise, how can anybody commit? Because otherwise we say, well, we might run a course. And then what do the students say? They say, well, we might come to it.
Good
So
mitigation.
we set the dates and that's it. So this one we had 5 people. The course numbers can vary, so I've done master practitioner in Goa a couple of times. First time we had 5 people, the second time we had 15. There's no, 5 or 6 is about the minimum to run, so that in practicing, for the activities, you get a good mix of people to work with, and you get an experience of working with different people, different personalities. It makes it a bit more interesting, a bit more energy in the room. There's technically no limit to the number of people, but I wouldn't want to get more than about 12 or 15, because I want to make sure that everyone has time to have the experience that they want to have as well. Anything else? Okay, then as I say, I'll be here for a while if you do think of a question. Otherwise, feel free to contact Jazz or me. And again, thank you so much for taking the time and the trouble to come on this afternoon. I'd love to work with you all. Great to meet you all. Hope to see you again. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Very interesting session.
Thank you.
And thank you so much. Pretty interesting session.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Nice to meet you. So you're a friend of the community?
Yes, I used to work with the same